One of my principles is that anybody's life, yours, mine, anybody's, mine particularly, but is due to events you cannot predict happening. So you can't start out, at 20 years old and figure out, okay, I'm going to do this. And so what happened to me was I went to work for this chemical company, and they wanted me to devise, with their help, they had a lot of guys that knew all about infrared spectroscopy. They wanted me to develop an instrument that could be used in their chemical plants for detecting small amounts of a specified impurity in a stream of gas in the chemical plant. And so I worked on that and got an idea of how to actually make an instrument for doing that would be rugged and we could use. And so that was my first introduction to a real job. And a guy showed up where I was working, and he said, I'm so-and-so, and I have talked to your boss, and I want to talk to you. And I was sort of surprised, but I said, well, fine. And so he said, I'm going to tell you something now, that if you ever tell anybody, not your mother, your father, your sister, anybody, what I'm going to tell you, you're in big trouble. So I said, no, I won't say anything. And so that's where luck comes in. See, this was the Manhattan District Project. You may have heard of that. That was the top secret project in the whole bomb project in around 1943. He said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to send you nickel cylinders full of uranium hexafluoride gas. That's what they're used in the enrichment in Oak Ridge. I didn't know there even was a bomb project. Nobody did. They were using this uranium gas, but they couldn't have a certain kind of an impurity in there for sure, because that would have wrecked the process. So that's what my instrument would detect that and detect how much there was of it. Anyways, it was a whole new world for me, and I remember when I had to go down to their office in New York City, they wanted to see if this apparatus really worked, and would it work under rather difficult conditions. So they said, fine, okay, and we never heard from them again. So it worked for the first year for sure, and I don't know how much longer than that, because we never heard from them. So that was totally an accident. Here I was, minding my own business, and the guy from the Manhattan Project comes in and says, don't say anything about this or we'll kill you. I mean, I wondered whether I was dealing with Al Capone or something. They wanted me in the Navy, because I had already had training in mathematics at Caltech for a year and a half, and most of the guys that were getting into the program, this was an electronic technician's mate, that's what the name of the position was. Most of the guys that went for that, they had to have a high school education to get in. Before I did anything in that direction, I got a message from the commander of the base where I was in Washington, D.C. And Kidder, he said, are you going to make the Navy your career? I thought, oh, here we go. I said, no, sir, I don't. And I had to be honest with him, I did not. And so he said, dismissed. I never did go to sea, you see. So they gave me a wonderful education, not only finishing my PhD and master's degree and PhD at Ohio State. Of course, I was out of the Navy by the time I got those things. Getting a job at that time, when a lot of people were getting out of the service looking for jobs too, it wasn't easy. So by luck, I got in touch with the Standard Oil Company of California, which is now called the Chevron Oil Company. So they were concerned about their offshore production platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. We had to have a 500-ton derrick barge to put in the equipment that we needed to make these measurements about future hurricanes. Unfortunately, no hurricane happened while I was still working for Standard Oil. I happened to do an experiment and the theory that went with it in fluid mechanics with the motion of liquids through porous media. This was in 1956, and by that time there were about 2,000 employees already at Lawrence Livermore in Livermore. So I joined the thing, and so I was a member of became immediately a member of the theoretical division. My job is not experimental physics, but theoretical physics. And so I was a member of the theoretical division, and I went to work immediately on nuclear explosives. I worked on the hydrogen bomb, the big one, the real one, the big real one. In fact, I was there when the last big test series we did, in advising the director. And now I'm this tiniest thing, you can't hurt anybody. But we're going to make power with them. We're going to go bang, 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 bang on little dinky things. We make energy and put the people with coal and oil and everything else out of business. So I was going to, now I'm not only not working for the oil company, I'm trying to put them out of business. Well, there's a number of people that have helped me immensely since I've gotten to be 93 years old. My primary inspiration, personal inspiration, was my father. He was an absolutely marvelous, marvelous man. He was one of the kindest people. I almost get a little teary about it, that I've known. He was a wonderful man. He was not only a wonderful man in such important ways as what kind of a person he was, but he got things done. My legacy will be to my daughter, who is a great help to me in my old age here, a great help, and also to my other son, who now has two of my grandchildren. The lessons I'd like to pass on to future generations are that the most important things, I think, of all, are your relation to your fellow man. It's not whether you're rich or whether you're not, or whether you're famous or whether you're not. If you go through life respecting your fellow man, he'll respect you. And that's the lesson that I think is the most important one to learn. And it's a hard one to learn because a lot of people are going to do things that, frankly, you would rather they didn't do, or maybe didn't do you. But that's what I believe is the most important thing of all. Well, I would like to be remembered as a person who was lucky in the sense that his relationship to both the kind of work he was lucky enough to be able to do was fun. It was. I had a fascinating career.